Hello there, it's Silver. This is Fantasy Life I, the girl who steals time. So this is a life sim with some action RPG elements that comes to us from level 5. It's always nice to get more level 5 games on PC. I've been a big fan of these guys since the PS2 days with games like Dark Cloud, Dark Chronicle, and Rogue Galaxy. This is a direct sequel to Fantasy Life, a game that came out in 2012 for the 3DS, although it didn't see a worldwide release until 2014. The game did pretty well when it launched, but this entry has had a much more positive response immediately. I think we can officially say that the life sim games are no longer a niche. With the runaway success of games like Stardew Valley, it's clear this genre has become well established and isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Although you could make an argument that games with more of a combat focus and RPG mechanics like this and Rune Factory are still kind of a niche within the genre. Either way, this is a game that's absolutely full of stuff to do, and it's got a big focus on the play it your way style, allowing for very open decisions on what you want to be doing at any given time. Although I should say this isn't a pure sandbox either. There is a structured main quest line to go through, as well as loads of side activities. So the game has an almost tilt-shifted miniatures look that's pretty adorable. It gives everything in the world kind of a toy-like appearance. This game uses this look combined with a large variety of colors everywhere to create a lovely but clean aesthetic. Resource nodes have this exaggerated bulbous appearance, enemies are cute and well animated, and your party will also have a significant variety of styles to keep things visually interesting. There's also a big difference between the overworld and the dungeons. Dungeons are dark, they use mostly cold colors and have a theme of tree roots growing down into them. However, there are some dungeon areas that go for an ancient ruin theme instead. These look particularly great to me, with an almost Mesoamerican look to them, and a lot of gear motifs around the place. Altogether, the visual variety the game has on offer is a nice prelude to the actual gameplay variety you'll be seeing. Music-wise, it's got a nice sort of adventuring soundtrack, you know what I mean? Many of its tracks are that exploratory fantasy adventure vibe, and the town themes are cozy and bright. There's also a surprising amount of voice acting, with even the optionally unlockable characters having some. I will admit, I think the voice lines during exploration and gathering start to grate a bit after a while, but that's going to happen in a slow-paced game like this no matter what, I feel. Overall, the game is great to look at, with a fully cohesive art style that extends into every aspect of it. The game is based entirely around the life system, which are kind of like classes or jobs, and there are 14 of them in total. You can try them out in any order, and eventually you'll have access to them all. There are 2 that are locked at first, those being the farmer and the artist, but a short way into the main quest they'll become available. The lives are split into 3 different categories: combat lives, gathering lives, and crafting lives, with gathering lives collecting the materials needed by crafting lives to make things, all the while combat lives are defending them. It's a whole ecosystem of professions that really comes alive when you have several of them available to you. You can go to the guild building at any time and switch to a new one. Each new life will have a short beginner quest that introduces you to the master of that life and gets you started on how to use it. Once you've completed at least one of these quests, you can skip any future ones if you want to. The main quest is good at giving you the impetus to try more lives. At various points throughout it, you'll need the talents of different ones, giving you a shove to try something new. The game calls itself a slow life game, and I think that's because they envision people slowly unlocking and trying these lives and focusing on maybe 1 or 2 at a time to level for a while. The process of leveling any one of them is very open-ended, so it seems slowly expanding out is kind of the way to go. Masters are important to find, which is probably why they show you where they are as soon as you choose a new life. As you go, you'll see that each life has a list of quests associated with it, and each one is worth stars. You'll have to go back to the masters regularly to tally up any stars you've earned, and once you hit a certain threshold, you'll rank up. Higher ranks give you access to more advanced quests to complete, as well as expanding the skill tree for each life. Doing whatever it is that life does nets you experience for that one specifically. As you level it up, it'll get better at doing its thing. You also get skill points to spend on a pretty extensive skill tree unique to each life. Some nodes in the tree are locked behind purchasing so many other nodes, and some are locked behind certain ranks. The other way to get stronger is through gear. Each life needs a tool, whether that's a staff for a mage, a flask for an alchemist, or a pickaxe for a miner. There are a large number of different tools to find that'll boost your ability to gather, craft, or fight. There are also armor sets, although these are mostly fit for the combat jobs, as you don't really need high defense to smelt iron bars. Every resource node has a level. From trees to ore to fish, they all have levels that show you roughly how strong you should be to harvest them. It's a guideline rather than a limit, though. Harvesting nodes several levels higher than you is actually a great way to level up. The main limiting factor here is stamina. Each swing or use of the tool takes some, and ultimately how much stamina you have will determine what you can harvest. Every node has a sweet spot. You can freely rotate around while harvesting, and there's also a survey skill early in many of the trees that'll allow you to figure out where it is after a little trial and error. Hitting these sweet spots does way more damage than anywhere else, and is the key to harvesting higher level nodes. There are also mini-boss and boss-level nodes, denoted by silver and golden crowns next to their health gauges. Mini-boss nodes have a lot more health and take much more stamina than other nodes of their level. Boss ones, though, are much more involved. The music changes to give you a triumphant backdrop, and finding the sweet spot is absolutely key to taking these down. However, unlike other resources, the sweet spot on bosses moves after a few hits, so you'll have to spend time finding it several times. When you aren't hitting resources, they're healing, so this time between goes is a bit frantic, but after the end, you'll get some potent and rare resources to use while crafting, so how does that work? Well, all crafting lives use a similar minigame to get the job done. You'll have 3 stations in front of you and an instruction at the top that tells you what to do. You have to copy what it says as fast as you can, which will fill a progress bar. Do it enough times and the bar will get to 100%, and your item will be finished. Do it fast enough, and you can get extra perks like higher quality gear with better stats, or the chance to make extra of a consumable, something like that. Ranking up crafting lives is extra important because it nets you new blueprints to make, and there are plenty others in various shops around the world to buy. There's a very large variety of craftable stuff, with many things having multiple grades, so you'll be able to spend a huge amount of time making things if you'd like to. You'll also notice the high-grade materials you need for advanced gear are always at the end of dungeons and in tougher-to-reach areas of the overworld. It's good at rewarding you for exploring, considering the sheer amount of crap you can find, and will also encourage you to try new lives when you keep coming across things like special fish and you haven't tried the angler yet. Combat lives work a little differently. First off, you'll need weapons instead of tools, and armor if you'd like to survive getting roasted by a dragon. Each one has a 3-hit light attack combo as well as a heavy attack. The light attacks don't use stamina, but everything else does. You'll get a class-specific ability, like for instance the Magician can switch between offensive, defensive, and healing magic. You'll also get an ult that can be charged up by connecting with other attacks and tends to do significant damage when used. The skill tree of a combat life will be focused on improving the active mechanics and skills you get access to, as opposed to the more passive trees of other lives. Enemies have levels, just as you'd expect, and feature the same mini-boss and boss crowns as other things. Boss monsters tend to have 2 phases to face, with the second heated phase, as it's called, coming in later. That gives them new attacks with expanded areas on the ground to dodge and stuff. Even regular enemies can get the dodgeable areas thing, though, which I like because it keeps you on your toes, even when there isn't a boss around. Enemies are also a great source of drops, many of which only come from enemies, so combat lives technically moonlight as gathering ones as well. You have 3 different worlds to explore, each with very different things to find. You have 1,000 years in the past, where the island hosted a thriving nation. This is where most interactions happen. It's where all the masters are, where you go to try new lives, and it's got plenty of side quests to find. It's made up of a series of islands, each having its own village and dungeons, some of them having extra stuff, like Swolian Island, which has a coliseum to fight in, where you can go against groups of enemies for 4 rounds, and then fight a boss as sort of a placement match to increase your rank, which will lead you to harder fights. Then you've got the present, 1,000 years later. At this point, the island is abandoned and ruins dot the surface, so naturally you've taken to building a new community here. You can recruit new characters and have them move into your village to be and do things like build houses, bridges, and stairs, as well as decorate it to your heart's content. You also have a home here and can decorate and upgrade it as you see fit as well. The more you have going on here, the more of these blue flowers will bloom every real-life day. You can use these in a shop in the guild building, but you also need them for turning strangelings back into people. So sometimes while out exploring, you'll find an object with a face that talks, and it'll hop into your pocket. These are strangelings. Bring it back to the goddess altar and pay enough of those flowers, and you'll get a new villager by turning them back human again. This is where you'll get the majority of your followers. The third place that you can explore is called Ginormosia, and it's a big open world area that takes a while to shine. You aren't really forced by the story to go here all that much after the first time you make it here, but there's a large area to explore and tons of resources to find. It's split into chunks, and if you find these big eyeball tower things, you map out each place. But the towers are for more than that, as you can also increase the rank of each chunk individually, which levels up the monsters, spawns rare resources, and makes the treasures you find rarer and shinier. So killing enemies and harvesting things will net you these points. And then there are also challenges around the place. Completing those gives you way more points at once, especially if you do them fast. At certain point thresholds, you can return to the tower and rank the area up. The points are tallied for each area separately, but they aren't spent when you do this. So as you explore and climb up to the better stuff, you'll be able to rank these areas up and get even more good stuff and just keep going that way. This part of the game is basically a giant optional resource grind, giving you loads of new places to gather stuff and a way to slowly improve what you get. It's the kind of mechanic that'll only show its true value if you plan to spend a lot of hours with the game. Many of the game's systems of progression are sort of incremental and work by completing missions to slowly improve things. The Ginormosia towers, the way that each life is progressed by gaining stars, the island rating system for improving your own settlement. All these things give you many objectives at any given time. Another one are the bulletin boards around the place. Your settlement, as well as all the other villages in game, each have their own board with missions specific to that area. Completing these will advance that region's board, giving you things like new house styles, new craftable decorations, and more infrastructure to make. Basically, every direction you can go in this game will have some progression to earn your way towards pretty much no matter what you're doing. There are plenty of things to earn for yourself as well, from new gear sets to new mounts, hidden dungeons and super rare resources, and of course, loads of decorations for your town and your house. This game knows how to reward you for spending time with its systems, and keeps a steady flow of new stuff coming your way. It's always great to see old favorites like Level 5 popping up, especially on PC. These guys are responsible for some wonderful RPG experiences, and this feels like it fits in perfectly with what they like to do. It's got that classic style that many of their games have and have had over the years, and it helps that it's a direct sequel to a previous title. I'd say this is a complete success in terms of getting another try at the fantasy life concept. It's a much more full and polished game, and it shows a lot of growth of these ideas over the last 13 years. If you like life sims or action RPGs, there's a tremendous amount of gameplay here to get through, and it's a real blast to level all 14 lives. I think the asking price is totally fine for the many dozens of gameplay hours on offer, and if this is at all something you think you'd find yourself enjoying, then I can 100% recommend it with no trouble at all. I'll put the Steam store page link in the description down below so you can check it out. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.